True fans live for their team. For those true U of A fans, there is Hughes Federal Credit Union. Show your U of A spirit and put technology and convenience at your fingertips. Hughes Federal Credit Union. Smart choice.
Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, it's 80 degrees out. Wonderful, wonderful weather outside. We've got colds. This can only mean one thing. It's football season? How is this possible?
I can't wait to get out and watch one of those practices.
Arizona opens spring football. It's going to feel like spring, but it's still early February. They open spring football this week at Arizona Stadium. They'll practice for a month or 5 weeks and then get into their offseason training program. This is a staff that, as we speak right now, they have not yet announced what sort of defense they're going to run. They have defensive coaches who have probably slept in the city of Tucson for 4 nights in the last month. There are so many more questions than answers about this team as we head into spring ball. I almost don't know where to start.
What RichRod has done is almost unprecedented in the league, hiring basically rookies all over the defensive staff, guys you've never heard of, guys who haven't coached at big-time places. You can do that and make it work in the Pac-12. Let's watch.
Well, yeah, Arizona will unveil Marcel Yates, who was the defensive coordinator at Boise State. They gave him a 2-year deal, $500,000 a year, a somewhat unprecedented multi-year contract for an assistant coach here. You go to Dante Williams, a guy who was at San Jose State, helped them in recruiting a lot, but did not necessarily translate into wins. This is a staff. Jamil Adai is somebody who's familiar with the program, but has not been a head coach or a coach here or anywhere. It's a really interesting defensive staff, and that's before we even talk about there's no Scooby Wright.
Did they need to make these changes on defense? I think so.
Yes, agreed.
Even though Jeff Castile was the chief of running the offense that they ran. Who knows what they're going to run? But I agreed he had to not be the coordinator anymore.
Well, and this puts Rich Rodriguez almost in an unwinnable situation. And this is what happens when you make wholesale changes. They could stick with the 3-3-5 odd stack defense that they've always run and probably be better than if they switched to something else, right? Immediately, because nobody's changing positions. It's familiar terminology. But they didn't fire the world's foremost authority on the 3-3-5 odd stack defense to do that, did they?
No matter what we say, the thing is, Arizona's not going to have enough good players on defense to do anything.
Well, that's a good point. Whether you're running a 4-2-5, and to me it looks 4-2-5, 3-3-5. It's semantics, but my guess is it would be more of a 4-2-5. But you're right. I mean, okay, great. You walk a linebacker to the line of scrimmage. Who is that going to be, and why should we? What lends you to think that they're going to be any good?
Not one guy in the stadium will recognize what they're doing different on defense.
No.
It'll look the same.
Right. It's interesting, and I think that spring will be telling. Rich Rodriguez already said they're not really going to practice. They're not really going to scrimmage. It is going to be drills and fundamentals. He must have seen something last year on both sides of the ball to cause panic. Because to me, this is a panic move. I think it's a smart move, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, this would be like a manager of a baseball team saying to the Yankees, hey, tomorrow we're going to work on bunting.
What's the strength of Arizona's football team? Do they have one?
Offense.
But what? What part of the offense?
It's a good point.
Three offensive linemen are pretty good.
Their offensive line's fairly good.
Yeah.
Anu Solomon, I don't think will make a ton of mistakes. But you're right. Nick Wilson, hurt. Anu Solomon, frequently hurt. Caleb Jones, gone. I mean, Trey Griffey, promising, but frequently hurt.
Right.
I mean, this is a team that I think if everything goes right, could win 6, 7, 8 games next year. But if they have the kind of luck that they've had the last year and a half, this could be really ugly.
When you show up with a rookie defensive coaching staff and defensive players who aren't really Pac-12 caliber yet, you're talking about 6, 7, 8 wins?
Right.
Oh, I don't see that.
We talked, 2 months ago about how they needed new blood even to get recruits, how they needed to get younger as a staff, how they needed to appeal to 16-year-olds. We kind of got what we asked for there. The question is, do these guys have the experience to coach up these players who they're now bringing in?
But me and you and a lot of people, we put too much emphasis on how tough it is to coach. It's not that tough.
Well, if you have good players, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the coaching element of it is overrated.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. We're talking football. It's February. It's the second week. It's not even Valentine's Day yet, and we're talking football. I love it, but I'm sure basketball fans wish that they would hold off to like March or April to sort of space it out.
Right.
Yes. That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. For Greg Hansen, you're going to go, right? I mean, you have to be interested now in that defense.
I went to a spring practice in like one of Dick told me his last years, and he saw me walk through the gates, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "Don't you have anything to do?" I always remember that.
I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.
True fans live for their team. They buy the gear, they order the tickets, they pay for the seats and the experiences. For those true U of A fans, thankfully there is Hughes Federal Credit Union, offering the latest payment choices such as U of A debit cards, paying online, paying a friend with pop money, or using Apple Pay with your mobile phone. Show your U of A spirit and put technology and convenience at your fingertips. Hughes Federal Credit Union. Smart choice.